I just have one question.
What?
Are we drafting for the players as they exist today or at their peak?
No, as they exist today. You're putting the best possible team together for the 23-24 season. You're also drafting, if you want to try and win the popular vote, we're going to have Twitter decide who wins this. So that may affect who you draft and what hives you want to cater to. But those are the rules as of right now.
I would just like to say before we draw cards, all of these teams, whatever combinations that we're going to make, it would just be absolute ass. Just
I know that
the six-pack ass. They're terrible.
The challenge is, can one of us draft a team that would not finish last next season?
I don't think it's possible. Because so many of these players are at the end of a bench, or they're just not very good. Because, as I was looking through these rosters, there were two things came to mind. Reminded me how much roster turnover there has been over the last 10 or so years, and how so many of these players that are not on the Knicks anymore are just terrible. Just not good. Not all of them. There's some good players that are going to be on this list. There's some players who are fine, but there are others who are just like, you're probably not in a rotation, and I have to draft you, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
The whole inspiration behind this idea, and I don't know if Jeremy, you were a Knicks fan at this point. The mid 2000s, it felt like every playoff game I was watching had a former Knick on it. That like, oh, this team gave up on this guy too soon. This team traded this person away without valuing them correctly. Obviously you have the teardown that was Donnie Walsh showing up, and then, oh yeah, we have cap space. We're looking forward to the summer of 2010, but Zach Randolph is in the playoffs, and Nate Robinson is in the playoffs, and Jamal Crawford is in the playoffs, and you're wondering what could have been. You see David Lee win a title with the Warriors, and even Stephon Marbury go to the second round with the Boston Celtics, and that the numbers seem to be much higher. And I don't know if this is fully a testament to what the Knicks currently have, that there's actually some stability. John, you mentioned in the newsletter the other day that Mitch is about to become the second Knick this century to play 6 seasons in a row with the Knicks, and it's him and Melo.
It's almost worse when you mention the other Knick that played at least 6 seasons with the Knicks since 2000. They weren't consecutive. It's Jared Jeffries.
Yeah.
So like when you think about tenure and like Jared Jeffries is one of the top 3 names, that's not. I like Jared Jeffries, as has been well documented. That's not great, So
I liked the second go around version of Jared Jeffries, not the one that they signed in free agency. And maybe that just be perspective of. But like Jared Jeffries was a former Knick at one point where it's like, oh, we signed Jared Jeffries and then he went someplace else and then he showed back up on the Knicks.
Let me say this. I am thankful that we don't have to deal with, for as much torture as has been included in Knicks history, most of that I put under the umbrella of guys that we should have probably drafted and didn't. There haven't been too many players that like were on the roster and then went whatever way they went and then like truly blew up at another place. You mentioned some names of guys who like contributed to playoff teams and like a couple that contributed to championships, but like, I'm thinking of like the first one that pops in my head, like an SGA situation where like the Clippers had that dude and then they traded. Like we don't have to deal, I don't think, with anything like that unless I'm forgetting someone obvious, but I don't think I am. Anything else? You have your scientific system of picking who goes first. Ready?
Let's do it. So
we hear the shuffle.
I will shuffle again to make sure. RJ can't buy a bucket right now, by the way. But we are not overreacting to FIBA. That works both ways. We don't overreact when he's good in FIBA. We don't overreact when he's bad in FIBA.
The only stakes involved with France and Canada is that the winner of this game gets Quebec. That's really it. And there's not a whole lot to play for other than that.
I was going to ask, is Evan Fournier eligible to be drafted in this draft yet? But I think I know the answer to that question.
He's not a former. Future former.
That would be a fun draft.
That would, yeah.
Emmanuel Quickly, number 1 pick. All right, you ready?
Yep.
John, your card is a 4 of hearts. Apologies, sir.
I wanted a top pick, but that's all right. I'll deal with it.
Why? Is there a drop-off after number 1 that she might be talking about? I go second. My card is a 7 of clubs. All right, Jeremy, it's looking up for you to potentially be the one pick. I'll shuffle one more time. And then Jeremy, your card is I'll take it from the top. Your card is a king of clubs. So Jeremy gets the 1 pick. I get the 2nd pick. John, you get the 3rd and the turn. And we're off. We're going to do a starting 5, a center, 2 forwards, and 2 guards. Positional estimate on Basketball Reference is how we're deciding the positions. I believe is that agreed upon amongst the group? With respect, I was about to say. Do you want to like make it the Wild West? Like if you want to put someone that's tall as your point guard, you want to get Froggy and jump. Go ahead.
Let's get Wild West on it. I think we need a little bit of Wild West given the talent pool that
you got it
from.
Perfect. Kings get kings. Let's do this. And speaking of my king, I'm going to pick former king. Well, not actually Sacramento, but he was a king to us for a few shining moments.
I was like, what king are you taking?
I will be selecting Kristaps Porzingis. He is the best player on this list by a very far margin. My biggest concern is that he would be healthy, but are we playing one game here? Or are we doing like best of 3 with our teams? I don't know. Either way, this is an easy answer for me. It's Kristaps. I'll slot him in, and beauty of it is I could have him be my 4, or maybe I could make him my 5. I'll see how I feel.
Is this not the most obvious pick in the history of these things that we've done?
I think it has to be.
It's up there.
There's one draft that we did. There's one draft we did in terms of, I think it was last year, with the best players ever.
Oh, at each draft. So Jordan.
Yeah. That felt like the top 2 were a no-brainer in that draft. But but
to your point, Jeremy, top 2 were no-brainers because the 2nd pick was Wilt. So like if we had an old head on here, like someone older than John that was like, no, Wilt's the greatest ever, I would take him first over Michael Jordan.
So, a quick aside, Wilt, guy's getting shot on 10 years after he died. I saw Simmons put out his undisputed top 6 players ever. No Wilt Chamberlain. I was a little, and he is an axe to grind, not an axe to grind, but his section in the book on Wilt was pretty said all you need to know about his opinion of the guy. Anyway, we're going off topic. I'm very curious to see where you go with this pick, Andrew, because I think there are a few different directions you could go. There's one direction I'm hoping you don't go because I want things. But yeah, anyway.
So here's the problem is I know John Macri very well. I know there are several players you're not touching with either of your picks. So
I wouldn't listen, man. At this list, I don't think you could be certain of anyone that I'm definitely not touching.
I'm actually pretty sure I can be certain of certain players that you're not touching. Okay. Again, because I think I know you, and maybe you'll surprise me. Maybe you'll pull a rabbit out of your hat, but I think I can pass on a couple guys and go with someone who, despite the public outcry against this man when he was starting over one Emmanuel Quickly at point guard 2 years ago, I thought was a very productive Knick in his tenure, especially that first season, and especially in game 1 against Atlanta, where we were RJ catching a loose ball away from potentially being up 1-0 in that series. And it would have been a hero that came off the bench to score 27 points, 28 points. I forget the number, but it was a lot of points off the bench. I'll go Alec Burks with my first pick. And out of solidarity for the hilarious coaching decision that drove everybody nuts for half a season, I will put him at my point guard. I will put him at guard. So Alec Burks.
You don't have to decide that right now. Again, you don't even need to say what the positions are. It just needs to be a functional team.
I'm saying as of right now, he is my point guard. And this is the beauty of Alec Burks. If I want to switch him to my forward later, I can. So Alec Burks will be my first pick.
I think it is the quote unquote the correct pick because Alec Burks is really good. At some point, he won't be really good anymore. But man, talk about a guy who just keeps aging like a fine wine.
I hope he ends up on a playoff team this year.
And if he does, I bet you. I think we all agree he played meaningful minutes for that playoff team. You, sir, You, sir, thought you could have your cake and eat it too. However, you did not count on the fact that I have a couple, even though I did not get dealt an ace in this exercise, I have a couple aces up my sleeve. My first pick is going to be the one guy I think on this list that is, correct me if I'm wrong, playing in FIBA. He's also, I think, clearly one of the top 3 former Knicks. That's Bobby Portis. Playing for Team USA right now. Did I say that's correct, right? I don't think any other former Knick is currently playing in FIBA.
That's actually incorrect.
There's another one? Okay, then I'm not going to ask you to name who it is, but when they come up, if they come up,
I'm probably not going to pick them, but I will hold on to it until later.
Jeremy, Greece.
Well, are they an NBA player though?
Not Greece. Actually, that does make 2. There are actually 2 others. Greece is one of them. And then I'll hold on to the other. What?
Okay, hold on. Yeah. I'm going to take Portis. Bobby Portis, again, talk about a guy that I wasn't a huge fan of, like a lot of Knicks fans, I think, when he was here. He's really found the perfect home in Milwaukee as part of their 3-man, big man rotation. His shooting, obviously, is a big plus for them. And like the way he can, I mean, you could play him next to Lopez, but really it's the fact that you could play him next to Giannis, where they could kind of toggle between the 4 and the 5, both on defense and on offense in terms of the roles that they play. In terms of the team that I'm building here, wouldn't it be nice if I could pair him with another big man that could benefit from the fact that Bobby Portis could space the floor? And even though the 2 of them maybe are not individually very good individual defenders, could I construct such a roster where there's a lot of switching, all these sorts of things that I'm sure whoever I get to coach this team will figure out. So my second pick is going to be Obi Toppin.
And Jeremy,
the guy I knew you thought you knew I wasn't going to take.
And Jeremy, this is how you Jedi mind trick someone into selecting Obi Toppin.
Sure. You try to convince the listeners of that. No, I think, look, are there other possible candidates for this spot? Absolutely. But those possible candidates are, again, unless I'm missing someone, either on the older side, or if they are on the younger side, I think we are pretty sure what they are and are sure what they're not. And for as much as I poo-poo the idea that Obi Toppin is an all-star upside, and I'm not changing that, I do think he definitely has an upside that we haven't seen yet. And it's just a matter of him being on the right roster with the right kind of fit. So Bobby Portis and Obi Toppin, welcome aboard.
Look at that. You starting Obi Toppin at forward. I'm impressed.
He's a centerpiece of my team.
I know. As of right now, he's probably the best player on your team. Bobby Portis being a nice complimentary piece off the bench. You now have.
That's disrespectful to Bobby Portis, but
I think Obi Toppin is better than. This is my projection, not yours. Maybe we'll see what the listeners think. Now it's my turn, and I was thinking I would end up with Obi on the turn. I'm glad that he didn't fall all the way back here. And I also think there was a better player than Obi Toppin that was available left. Although this is after Kristaps, I'm sure you guys would agree, it's kind of beauty in the eye of the beholder. I will go to a former Knick that was part of the Kristaps Porzingis trade. And I will go to Dallas and take Timothy Hardaway Jr. with my next pick.
Interesting backcourt you got there, Timmy and Alec Burks.
There will be a lot of points off the bench, even though these are my starting backcourt players.
No, so there are no points off the bench. It's just your
I know. That's the thing.
Yeah, like both guys, could you rely? It's like it's become clear with both of their career. It's kind of it's funny because like I'm not going to say they're similar players, but both guys at different points in their career, you're like, okay, if this guy needs to be like the nominal point guard for a bit, you could survive, and that's part of their value. What we also know about both of them is that you do not want these guys to rely on these guys as your point guard for any sustained stretch of time. So, we'll see how that one works out for you.
I remember the second go around with Timmy and how in the beginning it was because correct me if I'm wrong, the Knicks have the 2017 draft happen, the drama with Phil where he almost traded Porzingis. Melo's still technically on the team. And there's rumors coming out that Phil might sign Derrick Rose to $100 million. Phil gets the axe, or him and Dolan agree to part ways. A week goes by of rumors that who's the guy in charge of New Orleans now?
David Griffin is going to take the job.
David Griffin was going to take the job, and he was on a plane to his interview with the Knicks. Story. And Steve Mills signed Tim Hardaway Jr. to the contract during restricted free agency, and he rerouted his plane. He was like, second thought, I don't think I'll go work for the New York Knicks. And he was kind of the way Allen Houston during the back half of his career was framed through his contract, and we judged him not by his performance but by his contract. Timmy was judged by his contract, and it was all right, he's actually not terrible, but we're judging him based off of the market value. And I think he's now found a nice home in Dallas, and then got the exact same contract again when he re-signed.
I was about to say his life cycle in Dallas is almost identical to the life cycle of his second go around with the Knicks, where again, I think it's a perfectly fine pick at this point in the draft. And I'm not saying he's a bad player. I think if you were to make a list of the 10 worst contracts in the league, but Timmy has 2 years left on his deal. Whatever. We don't have to go down this road, but
descending though.
It is the same. He's in the conversation for because there aren't that many really bad contracts anymore. And I do not think Timmy at this point gets the benefit of the doubt of being a neutral asset. Let's just say that. I think you'd probably still categorize him as a negative asset on this contract, which he was characterized as when they included him with Kristaps. Anyway.
All right. Jeremy, 2 picks.
So seeing as how I know we're not doing strictly positional, but it's tough out there in terms of point guards and lead ball handlers who are on an active roster, used to be on the Knicks. So I'm going to go with Dennis Smith Jr. for this pick. And the thing about Dennis Smith Jr. is his defense has really improved. He was one of the better defenders in the NBA last year. It's just a lot of the offensive game where he struggles. But I feel like the pairing that I have right now of KP and Dennis Smith Jr., look, these teams aren't going to go to the playoffs, but if we're talking about the duration of a season, I don't love where I'm at, but I probably wouldn't love where I'm at with any of these spots. So I'm going to go with Dennis Smith Jr. Now the question is, where do I go after this? And this is a tricky part for me. Well, first, let me, I guess, as I kind of mull it over, I'll turn it over to you guys if you have any Dennis Smith Jr. thoughts.
I just think it's funny that their first 2 picks are the 2 guys that were traded for each other.
That's true. Yeah, I hadn't considered that.
And there were 3 players from the Kristaps trade currently taken off the board so far. I think my only thoughts on Dennis Smith Jr., I think this is really a testament to what he's done with his career. What he committed to becoming, whether it be accepting an assignment in the G League and then committing himself to being something that you have to play, even though he does have some limitations still to his game. And I'm never going to say I'm excited to watch Brooklyn, but I am curious to see what he is in Brooklyn as a backup point guard.
It's also a reminder if you're a backcourt player and your shot is a question mark, it's you kind of have to be great at some other, basically everything else to earn a consistent job in a NBA rotation. I think it's a fine pick though. Yeah.
My next pick will be this will probably push Porzingis to more of a 5. But you can do some switching. It's got to be, again, not a huge fan of it because he did struggle a lot last year, and I thought he would be traded. There's still time for him to be traded, but this would be former Knick, current Clipper Marcus Morris, who obviously gave the Knicks Emmanuel Quickley, or the pick that turned into a pick that helped them get Emmanuel Quickley, as the Knicks did trade up and then traded back and got it quickly. So, I feel like I need to keep spacing the floor, especially since Dennis Smith Jr. will shrink that a bit in terms of his offensive abilities, and Marcus Morris can just kind of hang out. I recognize that I'm going to get killed on the boards most likely, but that's just got to give up something here. And I just think he's the best player on the board with where we're at. So Marcus Morris, you are once again on this team.
You don't say.
one of the highest, if you go and sort every Knick that's ever played for the franchise and you sort them by scoring average as a Knick, he's still pretty high up there because he averaged almost 20 points.
By the way, 3-point percentage is where I thought you're going with, by the way. Also one of the highest 3-point percentages for a Knick in a single season.
He shot like 45% from three during his half season there.
During that season. So, by the way, this is the first time the three of us have drafted since both our wins and our losses draft. Our best Knick wins of the 21st century, best Knick losses, or worst Knick losses of the 21st century. And some of the feedback we got to the wins draft is that none of us brought up Marcus Morris and his heroics against Porzingis and Porzingis' first game back as a Knick. We did not mention that game.
Maybe if we had different parameters and we had to select multiple games from non-playoff years, right? That would have been maybe it would, but we only had to do, I think, didn't we only have to do one of those, or am I forgetting?
I believe it was one game from that draft happened like a month and a half ago. Yeah. So I'm not sure what our parameters were.
If we had to have more than we did, I think that would have come up.
Yeah. Fair point. So that was my filibuster because you want to talk about best player available and then a drop off, Jeremy. Marcus Morris was like, oh my gosh, he's going to take Marcus Morris and then I'm going to have nothing left.
You took my guy. I was going to take Tim Hardaway Jr.
You're going to take Timmy?
Fair is fair.
I disagree with that sentiment, but that's just me.
What, that there's a better player that hasn't been taken?
I don't think there's I think there's some, again, with what we're talking about here, I think that comparatively there's some talent on the board.
Well, I know that you're talking about a current Laker who used to play for the Hawks, for the Blazers.
My God.
We'll talk about this.
I forgot to write his name down.
He's not on my list. You did.
That's insane, by the way. But
how did I miss that?
I wonder.
I don't know. Crazy oversight.
I swear. I think I just glossed over it. That's nothing personal about that.
You are a one of one, Jonathan Macri.
I'm so sorry.
Is it a meaningful apology?
It was a meaning. You beat me to it, Jeremy.
The most meaningful apology that has ever been given.
Okay, so I am going to take someone that, I'll put him as a small forward. I'm going to take someone that played exactly 2 games with the Knicks. And it's someone that I found out is in the top 25 ever in 3-pointers made in the NBA history.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh my God. Was it only 2 games?
He played 2 games. He started one.
Terrible.
He was bad in both games, and then the Knicks bought him out. Or he got hurt, or the Knicks bought him out?
No, he went and joined a contender.
He went.
Yeah, they bought him out.
Okay.
I wrote this guy's name down.
They just straight waived him.
Oh, they just waived him.
Yeah,
okay.
He didn't give any money back.
So I'm taking Wesley Matthews. So I'm going to put him at small forward. Basketball Reference puts him as a guard / small forward. We're not beholden to those positional estimates, so I can do whatever I want here. But bit of a small team that I'm putting together so far, but we're gonna shoot a lot and hopefully make a ton of threes. But yeah, we discovered this during Patreon, Jeremy. That John and I discovered this during Patreon that Wesley Matthews, I believe, is 24th all time and 3-pointers made, and I never thought of him as like one of the greatest or more prolific 3-point shooters of all time. Just a bit of a compiler, and as a result, the era that he played in, being drafted the same year as Steph till now, there was just an emphasis on people his size shooting threes, and he was able to become that over time. So Wesley Matthews will be my pick.
He's 24th now, you said, right?
Yeah, I think
in 5 years, is he going to be in the top 40?
Oh, because people will have passed him? Probably not.
5 years, I think he'll still be.
He'll still be. You're right. That's a little aggressive.
10
years, no.
But I'll say this: I think what you're saying is completely apt. Where he was an incredibly prolific shooter and has been throughout his career. The most recent iterations of Wesley Matthews, which we're drafting for, well, specifically this season, he's some, the shine has worn off quite a bit. And he's now
31% last year. You're right.
Yeah.
But
I get it.
It's a veteran pick where he's also still not a slouch on defense. I'm hoping they're still a little, like when the Knicks got Jason Kidd and what he brought to the team was just like a calming presence and a veteran point guard that helped organize the chaos. And it was like, oh, we got Jason Kidd. He's going to help with these 3-pointers. And he shot like 27% from 3 that season. So I'm hoping for the same type of uptick from Wesley Matthews. This may be an awful pick now that I'm litigating it.
I would not have gone with it, but
you gotta understand, Jeremy. I found out 2 days ago that this is one of the 25 greatest 3-point shooters in NBA history.
Don't put it like that.
It's just blown my mind since.
I hear you.
Wondering
what is Joe Flacco in passing yards?
Right.
Yeah, he's like 11th, but
okay, that's like me saying Joe Flacco is one of the 12 greatest quarterbacks ever.
He is statistically. He's got the 11th most passing yards.
My God!
You keep talking yourself into the pick that you just made. I'm up.
You picked.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to go with the guy who's the better player at this point in his career, and that's Reggie Bullock with my first pick. He's the guy that if I couldn't get Alec Burks, damn well believe I was going to get Reggie Bullock. Reggie Bullock was talk about a guy who was just everything that this team needed and wanted, and then some. Has he been as good with Dallas? He obviously always starts off shooting it cold over the first half of the year, but that's why we play 82. And if I'm building my team around Obi and to a lesser extent Portis as my kind of foundational big men, what do I want around them? I want shooting and I want defense. And Reggie Bullock, when he's on, he gives you both. What?
Sorry, I was just thinking he gives you neither.
He gives you.
No, I mean, like, to be absolutely fair to Bullock, he had a phenomenal season with the Knicks, and then he went to Dallas and he had a drop off where he regressed to the mean. And last season, he was just unplayable. He was one of the worst players in the NBA by.
He played.
You can play, but that doesn't mean like that was a sunk cost, if anything. I mean, there was a sort of thing where there was a point deeper into the season where I believe he was shooting under 40% from the floor, under 30% from 3, and under 70% from the line.
He started 55 games. He averaged 30 minutes a game. He finished with a field goal percentage of 40.9%. From 3, he finished with a 3-point percentage of 38% on 5 attempts a game. That's respectable.
The reason he did was he had a few incredibly hot games that helped up his percentage. Look, I get it. At the end of the season, that's what the numbers say. It's just like we're looking at someone who through the majority of the season was quite difficult to work with.
Again, given the talent pool we're working with here, I feel okay about this pick at this point in the draft. I'll just say that.
Real quick, to Jeremy's point, first 34 games of the season was shooting 34% from the field, 32% from 3. Then to John's point, if you go after that point, he shot over the final 44 games of the season. He shot 45% from the field and 42% from 3. So it was literally a night and day of the first half of his season to the second half of his season.
Very fair.
No, I get it. Positionally, based on where we're at, I do understand it. I just, I think there's some reminiscing of when he was very good under Tibbs and then left and has dropped off from there.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yes.
Is he better than Wesley Matthews?
Yes.
I'm really regretting that pick. He has 6 fewer threes than Kobe. I just need that stated for the record.
Okay. So if he hits 7 threes, is he a better player than Kobe?
From 3-point range, he's got more. All right, John, you have a pick.
All right. I could try to get cute and hope that neither of you would draft this guy, but there's 4 more picks before I go again. So I'm not going to put that at risk because, man, it would be really cute if I, as the last pick in this particular draft, drafted a particular guy. I don't want to have to be left with that decision. I'm taking Derrick Rose. I think Derrick Rose could still play. Who said it recently? Julius Randle, right? I think said something to the effect of like, yeah, D Rose still has some gas left in the tank, and doesn't quite fit with the ethos that I just said a minute ago of building out the rest of my team with defense and shooting. Rose's 3-point percentage kind of dropped off there a little bit over the second half of the 21-22 season, and then went the little bit that he played this year. But I want a strong point guard for this team. And if we know one thing about Derrick Rose, and I think should still translate, I like the connection with Obi Toppin. So Derrick Rose will be my next pick.
I don't know how much Derrick Rose still has. No disrespect to Julius Randle. I just don't know how much Derrick Rose still has.
We're going to find out because he's going to be playing in Memphis to start the year.
Well, true, because Ja's not. So
25 games. I think. How about this? What if he plays and is like legitimately good, and then Ja comes back? I mean, obviously, Ja Morant's going to play 30 whatever minutes when he comes back, but like, do they carve out a role for Rose even after Ja comes back? If like, I don't know, it should be interesting.
I don't think that Derrick Rose will be starting games because I feel what the Grizzlies will do is they will just move Smart into the primary ball handling role, and then they'll have like Luke Kennard starting and shift up a little bit, instead of, or like
that's maybe.
But they don't have a ton of wing depth that's strong, but maybe this is the chance for Zaire to come about. But there's got to be something where I just feel like if they put Rose in a role that's not best suited for him, then they're taxing him a little too much. He's just better off. He's great off the bench when he's his best version of himself. I just don't know if that will continue or if last season was just more of a blip on the radar for him. Father Time's undefeated. That's the issue.
That's where I'm
Very
at.
true.
Your team is also, the one thing I'll say about your team, you've got Obi, who's incredibly fast, where it needs to push the pace. This is why Dennis Smith Jr. had actually been perfect for this. And then you have someone in Rose who's a little bit slower, has to be more in the half court by this point. So you've got contrasting styles, but I think you could find the opportunity to work if Rose can find that extra gear to really push it.
We'll finagle it.
Yeah.
Get a good coach.
So
Tibbs.
It has to be a former coach. We should pick coaches. We should pick, because I think there's enough former Knicks that have become coaches.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh, I was thinking you were going to say coaches who coach the Knicks who are coaching now, and there aren't a lot of those guys.
No, but former Knicks players who are now NBA coaches. We could finish the draft off with that. But let's get there first. Whose pick is Andrew? It's your pick.
Taj Gibson.
He's not on a team.
He's not technically on a team,
but he's not retired. He's active.
No, the whole point that you said in your text was they have to be on a team.
Did I say on a team or did I say active?
Hold on. I'm gonna read the exact text.
Has to be an active player. Has to have played one game for the Knicks.
Yep. Kemba Walker available.
I was about to say, by that definition,
sure,
Kemba would be available.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not picking him, but
listen,
all right, he's not signed anywhere.
Taj Gibson, he is not.
Wow, what's wrong with the league?
It's a great question,
man.
Pick Taj.
Yeah. I am. I don't have a center right now, and it's very slim pickings at center at the moment. I need somebody to counteract. This is a weird team I've put together of Tim Hardaway Jr., Alec Burks, Wesley Matthews, and Taj Gibson.
You also missed a center that I would have picked ahead of Taj.
I know who you
look at the list.
I know who you're talking.
I mean, we've all picked centers by this point, so it shouldn't matter. But I would have absolutely picked Robin Lopez over Taj.
Oh, I probably would have too. Now I think about it, but I didn't. And you know what? I can still put Taj as my 4 on the comeback.
You could do that.
We'll see. All right, yeah, I'll take Taj just because I want to pick with my heart here.
A fine selection.
Yes, Jeremy, your last 2 picks.
My last 2 picks. Well, I mean, realistically speaking, I need some sort of wing depth. And this is where it gets really tricky.
Hold on. You have the chance to do one of the funniest things with your last 2 picks because I'm realizing the 2 positions you have available.
Yeah.
Who's on your roster again? Catch us up.
Porzingis.
Kristaps Porzingis. I have Marcus Morris and I have Dennis Smith Jr.
Okay.
So see, here's where I'm at. I could opt for someone who I know is going to give me some of the best offense and spacing that I need, but their defense is so terrible that it'll just be an unmitigated disaster. And it'll be a little too large. I need, I
would go with the guy you're talking about, but that's just me. Keep going.
Right. But based on the construction of my roster, I mean, okay, I think I've got it. I think I have it. The first person that I'm going to go with, it will be. Oh no, I'm second guessing myself. I can't. No, I
just do it.
So to be clear,
yes.
Dennis Smith Jr., Marcus Morris, Kristaps Porzingis. So you got a 1, you've got a 4, you've got a 5.
So yes, in that in a manner of speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to go with Cam Reddish.
That's one. I told you this has a chance. You have a chance to do something incredible.
So the reason I'm going with Cam Reddish over Doug McDermott in this case is I actually feel like Cam can do more on the defensive end that I need to cover up a lot. He does give you the length. Yeah. I have to really hope the shot comes around, and I hate the spacing that is between him and Dennis Smith Jr. It really is frustrating.
I'm just going to say this now.
Yes.
There's a player I think you can take at the 2 that will be a draft winning pick.
It's obvious.
I would agree. You will win the draft if you make a certain pick at number 2.
I agree because
you get all the hives. You will have cornered the hives.
Every hive possible at the 2. And if you want a basketball, make basketball sense. If you have defensive concerns with other places on your team, then there's your answer. Put this guy at the 2.
Yeah, I mean his defense was not great last year from how I followed, but and the shooting is very hit or miss.
Is the shooting?
It gets so clunky. Let me ask you a general question.
Yeah, go ahead.
And don't try to, screw me over. It's an honest
answer
question.
It seriously.
Would you put Cam Reddish as your 2 guard?
Probably not.
Is that a real question?
I'd probably want
it is a real question.
Well, okay.
That looks as I know you wouldn't put Cam Reddish anywhere on a basketball court, John. But if you had to put him,
I wouldn't put him anywhere near the arena.
No, I'm aware. But if you had to have him on a court, like I do as I selected him, whereabouts would you go?
I would put him at the 3. I think the fully realized version of him is taking advantage of his wingspan and putting him at the 3.
Fair enough. Okay. So I'm going to take that into consideration, and I'm going to agree with you. And I'm going to pick a journeyman who I think makes more sense for this team. And that would be one Justin Holiday.
Might play meaningful minutes. There's that word again for the defending NBA champs based on the guys that they lost. And like, is he better than Reggie Jackson at this point in his career? I kind of think so.
So I'm at the point right now where, as much as I would love to pick Frank, I just feel as though I can trust Justin Holiday a little bit more than I can with Frank. With Frank's shot, it's a bit riskier. And since I already have Dennis Smith Jr. and Cam Reddish in there, who are not the best floor spacers, I need someone who, granted, did not shoot super well, but shot well enough over. I mean, the season before last, he shot almost 37%. For that, 38 and 40. So he is on the decline. I fully get that, but I'd like my chances a bit more than I would with Frank.
I think it's fair.
You picked the better player. Again, if you had taken Frank, he'd be your 2 guard next to Dennis Smith Jr. You'd have the 8th and the 9th pick in the draft from 2017. Mm-hmm. You'd have Cam, so you'd have that back-to-back of hives that would vote for you when this thing goes live. And I gotta think objectively. I think, well, you had the 1 pick, so it's once you get Porzingis, you this is probably the case, but you probably have the best team too.
I mean, here's the thing, Andrew. I didn't need to pick Frank to feel like I have the best team.
Oh, because you have Porzingis.
Because I have Porzingis.
Yeah. So I just thought it would have been funny if you ended up with that 100%. Specific collection of 5 players.
But I needed a Wes Matthews type to really. I got dogs on my team.
Sadly, the great Wes Matthews himself was taken.
Yes. So, unfortunately, I'm surprised he went as low as he did.
Yes. Wes Matthews, only 2 spots on the all-time list behind Kevin Durant, the 3-pointers in his career. Speaking of 3-pointers, and speaking of the 9th pick in the NBA draft, my last pick will be someone that John held a soft spot in his heart for because he met his dad when he was covering the Knicks in that brief stint that you were at Sports Illustrated. And anytime I brought up the Knicks need to send this guy to the moon, you were like, oh, I feel bad. Like he's persevered. He's had a rough go of it.
Oh my God.
I think
I didn't write his name down either.
I'm going with Kevin Knox, former Knicks lottery pick.
Is he on a roster?
I think he's not on a roster.
That's why we didn't write him down.
So I've got the undrafteds going on right now. So shout out Kevin Knox, who did find his way to a second NBA contract, which
his dad said
that's the goal. Get a second NBA contract. I think what my official strategy in hindsight ended up being is, has anybody ever gotten 0 of the percentage in a poll when we put these up before? So that's what I'm aiming for. I'm so addicted to Immaculate Grade. I'm going for the lowest number possible, John.
We'll go through our rosters in a moment. I have one more pick.
Yes.
Some players who are not going to get drafted. Number one, the only player I believe who played minutes in the finals this year, DeAndre Jordan, did not get drafted.
Did he play a minute in the finals?
He absolutely played minutes in the finals during a competitive game. Yeah. And held up fine.
DeAndre Jordan played 3 minutes in the NBA finals this year.
That's 3 more minutes than these other guys played. And he's back with them for another year, for what it's worth.
He's their Taj. You're right.
There's a guy I cannot believe, and I can't draft him because he's too. I can't put him at the 3 or Obi or Bobby, but I cannot believe Danilo Gallinari is not going to get drafted in this thing. I love Gallo. I still think Gallo has one more NBA season left in him where he's a helpful piece to a team. So Gallinari, Luke Cornett, not going to get drafted. Celtics really good. He played minutes for them last year. And you mentioned Robin Lopez. He's again signed to play with his brother. And then I guess I should mention Austin Rivers, right?
Is he on a team?
He's not.
He's not.
I don't believe
perfect for my team then.
Was it? He was on Denver last year, right? I think he was on Denver.
He was. I just don't think he's been signed by anyone.
I don't think.
He last played for the Timberwolves, and I don't think he's been.
He wasn't on Denver last year. He got in that fight with Mo Bamba during the season.
Oh, maybe I got it confused.
Talked about it.
He was traded to Minnesota though. He didn't sign with Minnesota.
I forget. It's so much. Whatever. We're talking about Austin Rivers. The two guys that I'm deciding between are the one who I said I don't want to be left with as my starting point guard, Frank Ntilikina, and the guy that I think you were toying with taking, Doug McBuckets. Was that who you were toying about? Okay.
It was. And also Rivers was not traded. I was wrong. He just straight with Minnesota. But
okay.
Yes.
So I have Reggie Bullock, Derrick Rose. Got to play Derrick Rose at the 1. And Bullock, I could slot Bullock down to the 3. And then I have my 2 bigs. So it's basically, do I want Frank as my starting 2 guard or starting 3? I don't know which of those is better or worse. Or do I go
be honest?
What?
John, I think the same thing I said to Jeremy. I think taking Frank here is the draft winning pick.
So, yeah, but Dougie McBuckets, man, I know he was on San Antonio last year and they sucked. And he probably can't play defense anymore, which is why I think Jeremy bypassed him. But man, to be able to put that level of shooter around Obi, and for that matter, Bobby Portis, and with Reggie Bullock, and then to have Derrick Rose as my point guard, I got to tell you, I would talk myself into that team scoring some points. I absolutely would.
I think the other team that faces your team also talks itself.
Yeah,
because good Lord,
that's
many points.
The defense.
So then the question is Frank going to make the difference as a defender, and like, is he going to, versus like what I'm going to not get on offense? Look, I agree with you, Andrew. If I was going for the win, Frank would be the easy pick. It wouldn't be true to me trying to do this exercise the right way, which is to build the best team. I'm going to go with Doug McDermott as my last pick. Do I get real quick? Do you want to do coaches very fast?
Let's do it.
Yes. I will say McDermott is the right pick based on that spot.
Agreed.
I think so. Okay. Coaches that are eligible. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody. Jason Kidd, Chauncey Billups, Scotty Brooks is not coaching in the league right now, right?
He is not.
He's not.
He is not. But as we've seen, if you just want to go,
but he has not retired as an NBA coach.
Correct.
So there's that. Scotty Brooks.
And by that definition, has Doc Rivers retired?
Doc Rivers is available to be picked.
Monty Williams?
Monty Williams, absolutely. Oh, that's my pick. Yeah, Monty Williams. First, since I get the first pick, Monty Williams.
Okay.
That's the obvious one.
Yeah,
it's a good pick.
I will continue with my all unlikable team and go to Ime Udoka with my pick.
Oh my God, he was on the Knicks.
Yeah,
perfect.
That would be my head coach of this team. That is
not going to get any votes.
Not going to get anything done. And then Jeremy, your pick will be
my pick. Let's see. So the funny thing would be if I picked Doc Rivers, but I'm not going to.
Did Carlisle ever play for the Knicks?
And that's where I'm going.
That's where
Rick Carlisle. Okay. Rick Carlisle played 26 games for the Knicks. Now, it's not like he had the best time coaching Porzingis. There were certainly issues, but I think I would hope maybe there's some maturity. Luke is not there. Right. There's the different schemes that can work here. So, I'm going to go with Carlisle and NBA championship winning coach. He's had some great stops wherever he's gone. So I feel even better about my team. And he had Dennis Smith Jr., which actually probably doesn't work in my favor.
I was about to say, I don't think he's going to walk through the door, see Dennis Smith Jr. and be happy.
Sorry, Oh, no.
Billy Donovan.
Billy Donovan. Also. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right.
So
I was about to say it out loud, but
Chauncey Billups is the
I mentioned
pick.
Billups.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know you said. I was sorry.
It's quite all right.
Anyway.
It's a lot of former coaches that are former Knicks that are.
Did Jacques Vaughn play for the Knicks?
Who?
Jacques Vaughn.
I don't think so. Off the top of my head, I'll be happy to say I was wrong if that turns out to be not the case.
Let's read teams and I'll look that up.
Okay. Yeah. So my team, from point guard on down, Derrick Rose, Reggie Bullock, Doug McDermott, Obi Toppin, and Bobby Portis. I said it's a fun little team. Coached by Monty Williams. I'll say it right now, that would not be a last place team if they played in the league next year.
Jeremy.
My team is Dennis Smith Jr., Justin Holiday, Cam Reddish, Marcus Morris, Kristaps Porzingis, coached by Rick Carlisle. I got to say, very happy with my team. Certainly helps starting at the top with Porzingis, but I think this is a well-balanced team. It's got the right levels of age and offense, defense works together nicely. Is it perfect? By no means. I still think it would be an under 500 team, and yet, all things being said, I think it would still be the best team on this grouping.
It's respectable. You need some comeback seasons from Holiday and Morris, I think.
And you need your players to stay alive for the rest of the year. Like past Team 4.
Please read your roster.
So my team, starting at center, number 67 in your programs, but number 1 in your hearts, Taj Gibson. At my power forward, just straight up a bucket getter, Kevin Knox. At my starting small forward, just 6 shy from Kobe Bryant, and we will have the ceremony when it happens, when he passes Kobe Bryant on the all-time three-pointers made list, Wesley Matthews. At the point guard, we've got noted great point guard in Knicks history, Alec Burks, and nobody had any protest to him playing point guard. And former Knick draft pick, and then former Knick free agent signing, Tim Hardaway Jr., coached by the unquestionable character of Ime Udoka.
You've assembled the most unwatchable team possible in this exercise.
Yes.
Congratulations. That's
Vote
really
for me,
good job
folks.
by you.
John, at least we don't have Andrew's team. We can agree.
Listen, I don't think I want Andrew's team at this point. But
what's the meme with the 2 arms?
The Predator meme where you guys are you son of a bitch, and then you guys shake hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this was fun. Or something else. I don't know. I had fun. Jeremy, did you have fun?
I did. I had a great time.
Wonderful. Andrew, I'm not going to ask you if you had fun. Anything, I don't even know when this is airing. Anything we should say before we get out of here?
This is airing Monday. And
okay.
Yes. There was a trivia question. John, you said there's only one player who is in FIBA.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Or one other than.
Well, Bobby Portis was the only one that but that is still on an NBA roster. You're going to correct me.
Yes. So, Evan Fournier is playing, but he's obviously still in the Knicks. Does not qualify here. But Frank Ntilikina is also on that French national team.
I didn't even realize that. I didn't even get that.
Antetokounmpo is on the Greek team. And there's one other player who we did not list, who was on the Knicks, who you're going to be like, how did I not get this guy? One of Kristaps Porzingis' best friends. He plays for Billy Hernan Gomez.
He's on an NBA roster?
Oh.
Isn't he on the Pelicans?
Oh, maybe he is. I don't even know.
He is.
Mm-hmm.
At least he was last year when I was doing my research.
I think there's a great chance that a team comprised of, let's go with Frank, Luke Cornett, Hernan Gomez, and name Frank. Two other players that weren't drafted. I'm trying to think two other players that weren't
Thanasis
and Gallo could get more votes than Andrew's team that he's put.
It absolutely beat my team.
So Hernan Gomez is his cap hold. So that means he's
okay. So it's
a free agent. But again, if we're going by the standards of they don't have to be on an NBA roster, like Kevin Knox and Taj Gibson, both of whom are on Andrew's sad sack of a team, then it totally works out. So
what's Mendagas up to?
I just realized we were like, if we did this draft 3 months earlier, I could have taken Melo.
Yeah, because yes, you could have.
It's true.
Damn. Oh, well. Once again, I don't get Melo in a draft. I should have had him be my coach.
I'm sure we coaches is like youth, his son or whatever.
His son. Yeah, those videos are great. All right, we can wrap up.
Okay. Thanks everybody for checking out another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. Again, keep your eyes peeled on the YouTube channel. If you're not subscribe, and obviously on your podcast feed, because when it is warranted, we will chime in on what's going on in FIBA, even if it's, as the intro to another pod or whatever the case may be. But stick here for that. And hope everybody's enjoying their summer. And we will be back with more fun and games very soon. Take care.